If you already know your phones, then you know who Honor is, but if you don't, they're the kind of younger, angrier, youth-focused division of Chinese telecoms giant Huawei. Obviously, everyone's favorite telecoms company right now. Honor is trying to put clear blue water between it and its much more controversial parent company by launching a trio of new devices for younger, gaming-focused, budget-conscious and photography-loving consumers. Honor is launching the Honor 20 series. That includes the Honor 20 itself, as well as a stripped-down budget version, the Honor 20 Lite, and a Pro version, unsurprisingly called the Honor 20 Pro. And each one carries Honor's very distinctive, fingerprint-loving look with this glass front and back that really does not photograph very well, and this wonderful kind of ombre system that the company loves to talk about because it's a triple layer glass. You've got a layer of glass on the top, then the color tint beneath. The Pro comes in a sort of purpley color and an aquamarine greeny color, and I'm told that they will get better names for both of those before they launch. And then beneath there is a layer of reflective crystals that kind of give you this wonderful shimmering effect when you hold it up to the light. One point though, put it in a case. It's so slippery, put it in a case. Obviously, when you buy a new smartphone, it's really an excuse to buy a new camera, and imaging is such a big part of what these three new devices are about. There are plenty of similarities between the Honor 20 and the Honor 20 Pro. Both come with a really beefy 48 megapixel main lens that's paired with a 16 megapixel wide angle lens for when you want to pull out and get much more action in shot. Now on the regular Honor 20, as well as that, you also get a 2 megapixel depth camera as well as a 2 megapixel macro. Now, in terms of the aperture, the f-stop just goes down to 1.8. Compare that to the 20 Pro and you get an 8 megapixel telephoto lens instead, as well as the 2 megapixel macro. But the other big selling point, you get optical image stabilization with the Pro, as well as a slightly wider aperture because the f-stop goes down not to 1.8 but to 1.4. The other thing you can get on the Pro, as well as optical image stabilization, is all of the algorithmic stuff that Honor promises will enable you to get great shots of the moon, great night shots, and most importantly of all, really good zoom shots. They reckon that you can get up to 30 times digital zoom, and when you zoom in that far, the pictures still look pretty good. You won't find a fingerprint sensor on the back, nor will you find one underneath the glass. Instead, Honor has opted to copy Sony and put the fingerprint sensor on the power sleep-wake button on the side of the device. And up front, you've got this wonderful 6.2-inch 2K IPS LCD display. Yes, it's not the most magical, but it does look lovely. And you might have noticed there's a hole punch up here. Beneath there is a 32 megapixel selfie camera, and the company reckons this is one of the smallest hole punch apertures you'll find on any phone, not just one of this class. Phones like this need lots of power, and with the Pro you get a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. The company hasn't said how long that will last you, but it should last you a fair old chunk of time. If you buy the 20, the suffixless 20, as I probably should call it, the battery's slightly smaller at 3,750 milliamp hours, but that should still give you a fairly decent amount of battery life. Nestled inside the body is a Kirin 980 with 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage on the higher end model. And the company says that's going to be a phenomenal performer, especially with games. Honor says that between its GPU boost technology and its partnerships with various mobile game developers, you're going to get some staggering performance with some very big mobile titles that they're not prepared to disclose right now. But I'll give you a clue, Fortnite comes pre-installed, so maybe it'll run Fortnite really well. Can't say much more about the performance at this point, but in the story we'll go super in depth to talk about how well it runs and how well it can keep pace with these demanding mobile titles, especially since that's the sort of audience that Honor's going for. People with not very much money who still want to play really power-intensive mobile games. Now you may have noticed I haven't really spoken about the Honor 20 Lite, and that's because the company really didn't want to talk about it either. We do know that it's pitching it much more as a starter phone, and whilst it didn't talk about pricing for any of these devices, they did say that the Honor 20 Lite would be around the $320 mark, putting it as the sort of device that you would buy a teenager or someone who just wants to get their first phone. In terms of specs, there's a Kirin 710, there's no hole punch, it's just one of the notchy selfie cameras from before, and only a 24 megapixel triple camera. Honor hasn't yet talked about how much these phones are going to cost or where exactly in the world they're going to roll out. We've got a general sense that they'll probably turn up in plenty of European countries, and over in China, the US, that's less clear, especially given all of the geopolitical tensions that are currently about. In terms of pricing, they would not commit to anything beyond saying that it will be cheaper than the Huawei P30 and that it'll be between $450 and $650 for the Pro. Now that's a very, very, very big margin for error, but it also shows that this will be a very affordable smartphone, and it needs to be. With the launch of the Pixel 3a, Google has thrown down the gauntlet to other affordable handset makers and said, this is the new basic that consumers are going to expect. And Honor and other companies like it are going to have to either up their game or lower their prices, because the affordable smartphone market is about to get hugely competitive and hugely, hugely exciting. And if you want to learn about this and everything else that's going on in the world of technology, check out Engadget.com.